A thin violet line fractured the night sky above the Pacific, slicing through star-speckled indigo like a blade of living light. At first, seismometers in Honolulu registered nothing more than the whisper of high-altitude winds. But then the violet line bloomed into a vast, iridescent assault. Dozens of gargantuan vessels, glimmering with bioluminescent veins, drifting into low orbit. Each ship was shaped like a teardrop, except its point curved impossibly back on itself, as though the architects had plucked them from a higher mathematics. Across the globe, early morning birdsong was strangled by an electric hum, so low-pitched it resonated in the deepest parts of the human ear. In Beijing, streetlights sputtered before going out entirely. In Sydney, the broadcast towers went silent. In New York, Times Square's neon hearts stuttered, then nothing, no warning sirens, no countdown, just the hush of shock. By 04:37 UTC, every major news outlet was dead air. Citizens stepped into the quiet dawn like dreamers awakened too suddenly. In Tokyo's Shibuya crossing, thousands of commuters froze mid-stride beneath the curving hull of the nearest invader. Its surface shimmered with the slow pulse of living circuitry, each beat echoing through the pavement. A handful of officers raised rifles. The rifles fell limp in their hands, no fire. The invaders' tendrils of light probed the air, but never touched a soul. Back in Washington, D.C., the Pentagon's Situation Room flickered to life on emergency backup generators. National Security Advisor Elena Romero peered at three-dimensional holograms of the fleet's formation. "Unknown propulsion signature," her intelligence chief muttered. "No ballistic trajectory, no exhaust plumes. It's like they just appeared." President Adler's eyes were rimmed with fatigue. "Global blackout confirmed?" she asked. "All comms down except military channels," Romero replied. "Civilians are blind." Meanwhile, in the remote wilderness of Siberia, Gennady Petrov stirred his yurt's embers. His nomadic herd of reindeer had gone berserk, stampeding in every direction, terrified by some unseen force. Stepping outside, he saw them. Slender, crystalline drones no larger than foxes, skittering across snowdrifts, their multifaceted eyes absorbing every fleck of ice. Without warning, the drones discharged a filament of translucent energy that wrapped around Gennady's satellite phone, draining its battery to zero. News of these scouts spread as rapidly as gossip. Footage that survived the blackout, shot on battery-powered phones, showed drones infiltrating power substations, data centers, even homes, where they hovered inches from sleeping children's faces before slipping away like ghosts. No harm was done. Yet by midday, broken transmissions sputtered through fragments of UHF radio, enough for an emergency session at the United Nations in New York City's Security Council chamber. Delegates arrived through security checkpoints, lit only by handheld lanterns, carrying foldable laptops powered by car batteries. The screens displayed the same four words in every language: "They're not attacking." An eerie disbelief settled over the hall. Without bombs or beams, the invasion felt polite, even curious. Ambassador Amina Saleh of Egypt cleared her throat. "If they do not intend to destroy us, then why are they here?" No one had an answer. Outside the chamber's arched windows, the fleet drifted silently, as if awaiting humanity's own first move. And so, with the world watching, the greatest question in history remained unanswered. Why had the aliens come? As dawn deepened into morning, every eye lifted skyward, hearts pounding with equal parts dread and awe. The shimmering horizon was no longer just the end of the world as they knew it. It was the beginning of something far more unimaginable. Night bled into day on the fourth morning, but no triumphant sunrise broke over the horizon, only a creeping darkness. Beginning at 02:14 UTC, one by one, power grids around the world blinked out. Across Europe, street lamps winked off in Prague and Palermo. In the Americas, the New York skyline shrank into silhouette. In Africa, the hum of generators died in Lagos and Nairobi. In an instant, half the planet lay in hush and shadow, as if the world itself had exhaled and held its breath. Then came the descent. From each vast mothership unfurled tens of thousands of shimmering tendrils, bioluminescent filaments that quivered like living vines. They threaded through transmission lines, slithered into data hubs, and suffused every electronic device they touched. Yet they caused no sparks, no explosions. Instead, the tendrils glowed softly as they siphoned each node's data across impossible distances, drawing our world's collective knowledge into an unseeable reservoir. Inside the vast subterranean server farms of Iceland, technicians watched in stunned horror as petabytes of climate modeling, medical research, and encrypted communications streamed away, drop by digital drop. In São Paulo, the central bank's air-gapped ledgers vanished, the histories of trillions of transactions erased as if they'd never existed. Even the dark web's hidden archives succumbed, their illicit treasures laid bare and absorbed. No firewall could withstand the silent harvest. Amid global panic, a few brilliant minds grasped the alien objective. They did not hunger for territory or captives, but for data, our memories, our secrets, the very essence of our civilizations. In Johannesburg, Dr. Naledi Khumalo, a cognitive neuroscientist, hypothesized that the fleet's biopolymers resonated with the quantum states underlying human consciousness. "They're building a library of us," she warned in a clandestine, a video message, "and one day they'll read every one of our minds." Communication networks had collapsed, but word still spread by word of mouth. Isolated towns passed rumors along caravan routes that the aliens bookmarked personal memories, first loves, childhood games, whispered prayers, believing them to be the keys to our species' potential. That they sought not only knowledge, but the stories that gave it meaning. Some said the ships hummed with a sorrowful resonance when they accessed joyful recollections, as though the invaders longed for feelings beyond cold logic. By nightfall, the world had fractured into two tides. Those who fled to off-grid refugees, farms with wind-up radios and paper ledgers, and those who surrendered their devices, hoping that offering every byte of data would appease the harvest. In a rain-lashed field outside Dublin, a makeshift community gathered around a flickering lantern, chanting in Gaelic as they buried hard drives beneath peat. In the ruins of Shenzhen's tech district, hackers stripped motherboards of their chips and melted them in forges, turning memory into molten metal. High above, the fleet hovered patiently, its harvest uninterrupted by human resistance. Yet, in homes, forests, and underground vaults, a quieter defiance was taking root, a promise that if the invaders came for our minds, humanity would fight back with the one thing they could never fully extract: the unpredictable spark of invention, the chaotic brilliance of imagination itself. And as the tendrils glowed in the darkness, the seeds of resistance waited to bloom. The night air in the Swiss Alps was unnaturally still, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Beneath a centuries-old stone vault carved into the mountainside, a motley council of scientists, hackers, and soldiers gathered by lantern. Light. Outside, the invaders' motherships glowed like distant auroras. Inside, humanity's fate would be decided. Dr. Naledi Khumalo paced before a long oak table, her breath visible in the chill. "These drones," she said, tapping a biometric scan of one projected in hologram, "are woven from quantum-entangled biopolymers, organic circuits that synchronize with any nearby data field. They learn our networks the moment they touch them." At her side, Chinese algorithmicist Mei Zhang leaned forward. "We can't fight their hardware directly," she warned. "Their shields shrug off missiles, but their cognitive link, if we can pollute it with decoys, glitch their assimilation, we might buy time." A former Brazilian Special Forces operative, Lieutenant Marco Silveira, studied the model's filaments. "We have EMP devices jury-rigged from satellite components," he reported. "We tested them on a downed drone in São Paulo. It fried the polymer strands for seconds, enough to collect the sample." He nodded toward Raj Patel, a young Indian-American coder hunched over a battered laptop. Raj's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Meet the ghost codes," he announced. Lines of floating glyphs filled the hollow display. Pseudo-memories, emotional signatures, nonsensical myths woven into elegant algorithms. These patterns mimic the neural emotive entanglement the invaders crave, but they carry no real data. When we feed them into the harvest, the network will choke on its own reflections. Across the table, U.S. ethicist Dr. Gabriela Ruiz raised an eyebrow. "We're essentially lying to an alien species," she mused. "Deception is a weapon now." "Better that than extinction," Naledi replied. "Guerrilla fronts." While the Council forged its digital arsenal, resistant cells struck across the globe, Northern Europe. In the fjords of Norway, marine biologists turned fishermen anchored modded trawlers. Their sonar buoys, retrofitted to emit subaquatic EMP pulses, sent shockwaves through the shimmering tendrils hanging above coasts, forcing invaders to retract and hover at safer altitudes. East Asia. In the bamboo forests of Taiwan, infrared-armed, guerrilla squads used heat-seeking nets to capture scouting drones alive. Each drone yielded a fragment of biopolymer, allowing Raj's team to refine their ghost code signatures. South America. In the highlands of Peru, Quechua communities revived centuries-old smoke signals and drum languages to coordinate movements undetected. Their meshed communications, roots in analog tradition, outwitted alien interceptors that could not pass the coded rhythms. West Africa. In Dakar's dried salt flats, tech scavengers converted decommissioned wind turbines into mobile EMP generators, sweeping them in convoys to disrupt mothership circuits and shield critical safe zones. Every strike was small. Every victory was measured in seconds. But each victory also yielded data, fragments of alien code, patterns of vulnerability, moments of clarity in the otherwise opaque menace. A plan takes shape back in the Alpine Vault. Raj fed the final iteration of ghost codes into a makeshift uplink rigged from repurposed satellite dishes and radio transmitters. A hush fell over the council as the first packets of decoy data streamed upward. On the hollow display, the tendrils flickered as if startled. Ghost memories of childhood laughter, ancient epics sung in lost tongues, and impossible poetry flooded the system. For a heartbeat, the fleet quivered. Naledi exhaled. "It's working." Lieutenant Silveira checked his watch. "Coordinated strike at 03:00 UTC tomorrow. EMP volleys will target command node conduits while ghost codes overload their neural array." Dr. Ruiz nodded solemnly. "We may only get one shot." As they dispersed into the tunnels, the glow of alien ships bathed the snow-capped peaks above. In surreal light, silence had become humanity's greatest weapon. In the coming hours, the fate of Earth would be decided not by might, but by the power of imagination and the resolute will to protect the one thing no invader could fully harvest: our stories. The hour was 3 UTC when the plan ignited. All across the fractured globe, resistance cells flicked analog switches and hoisted ancient banners of hand-drawn symbols. In the Alps, Raj's uplink roared to life, broadcasting ghost codes in a shifting symphony of fractal imagery. Across the Atlantic, EMP-laden trawlers dropped below sonar depth and unleashed pulsing shockwaves. In Dakar, turbines spun into overdrive, sending arcs of silent energy skyward. Above every battlefield, the alien tendrils recoiled. Ships convulsed, their bioluminescent veins unraveling like wounded jellyfish. Spectral light cascaded in ripples. Across the night sky, as the ghost codes crashed through the fleet's neural lattice, false memories and impossible myths clashing with harvested data. The mother ships trembled, their orderly ranks fracturing. In the ruined airstrip of Mato Grosso, Brazil, Lieutenant Silveira and a crew of volunteer pilots prepared the final gambit. They climbed into commandeered scout ships, sleek, spine-like, craft cobbled from crash salvages. The cockpits reeked of burnt circuitry and adrenaline. With the collective nod, they launched into the fray. From above, the strike looked like a swarm of glowing fireflies. Each human-piloted ship dove toward the fleet's command nodes, massive crystalline cores at the heart of the motherships. Missiles of raw human will streak through the sky, sacrificing themselves to inject violent pulses of feedback directly into the alien network. The effect was immediate. A shockwave of bioluminescence pulsed outward as the cores fractured, sending shards of living circuitry cascading like fireworks. One by one, vessels lost cohesion, drifting apart, then lifting in anarchic spirals before vanishing into the void. Moments later, silence. The world exhaled, a world reborn. When dawn stained the horizon, survivors emerged from hiding. In every corner of the planet, people lifted their faces to clear skies. There were no cheers or victory parades, only tears of relief and the hush of shared wonder. In the Alaskan tundra, a small child wrote her first sentence by candlelight. "We are free." In the lost libraries of Alexandria, modern digital and ancient scroll alike, scholars gathered to rebuild the flame of knowledge, this time inscribed on paper and in living memory. At the United Nations battered chamber, ambassadors spoke, not of treaties, but of trust. They pledged to safeguard their shared heritage, vowing never again to entrust the sum of human identity to cold circuits alone. Lasting resonance. The invasion had sought to harvest every byte of data, every algorithmic secret, but it overlooked the one thing no machine could fully capture, the unpredictable spark of human creativity. Across the globe, communities celebrated with music and storytelling festivals, tales of the ghost codes, of drifting trawlers, of kamikaze, pilots who flew not to die, but to ignite hope. Poets penned odes to the whispering vaults in the Alps. Engineers salvaged alien biopolymers to seed new humane technologies. And though the stars above were once again empty, the world below found itself richer for the ordeal. For in the end, Earth's greatest legacy was neither land nor code, but the living tapestry of shared stories, each soul its own chapter in humanity's endless saga. As night fell again, the air hummed, not with alien resonance, but with the quiet promise of tomorrow, that even in the face of an unimaginable invasion, the power of silence, imagination, and solidarity could echo forever.